Disney's live-action Lion King remake. Not a reimagining, not a retelling, not a sequel, but a shot-for-shot freaking remake. Well, maybe not shot-for-shot, that's a little dramatic. My point is that this is the first Disney live-action remake that is stuck this close to the original, given the inclusion of the 1994 version's original songs, and the fact that director Jon Favreau made a point of recreating some of the cartoon's iconic shots. Because of this, when something was different, it was quite noticeable. Like, hey, wait a second, that's not my childhood. There were 5 things that stuck out to us as being the biggest changes between '94 and now, and here they are. Obviously, some slight spoilers are ahead, so proceed at your own risk. I mean, it is the story of the Lion King, so nothing should shock you too terribly much. Also, do me a solid and hit subscribe before we jump in. Cool? Cool. So the first thing that stuck out as being obviously different were the hyenas. Not just because they're voiced by Keegan-Michael Key and Eric Andre, not just because their names are different, but because they're completely different tonally. They're not just constantly cracking up on the regular out of nowhere. They're more witty, less dim-witted, and certainly darker. More menacing to fit the overall tone of the film. Plus, the main hyena Shenzi took on a much larger role, acting as more of a leader. This is because the film doesn't begin with Scar as the established leader of the hyenas. That's a negotiation that takes place later on. Speaking of Scar, next we have his signature villainous song, Be Prepared. First off, he wasn't really singing the whole time. The film does this quite a few times, towing that balance between song lyrics and dialogue by having the actors speak in rhythm as opposed to actually singing. In fact, he only sings the Be Prepared song lyric one time at the very end of the song. Be prepared. Of course, there's also no marching hyena army, and the sequence is generally shorter and uneventful. Not a big win as far as trying to mix stuff up goes. At number 3, we have Timon and Pumbaa's bug-eating tribe. Timon and Pumbaa kind of, keep to themselves in the original. When they team up with Simba, they were all alone and turn the duo into a trio. In the new film, however, we see that they live amongst an eclectic mix of other jungle creatures. They all go after bugs together, and there's even a whole new bit where Simba is struggling to befriend an antelope, and the antelope's like, nah brah, you're a freaking lion. Next up, we have Timon's hyena distraction. Obviously, it would have been very odd for this Timon to, quote, dress in drag and do the hula like in the original. This one is at least slightly more grounded in reality. You're not going to see props appearing out of nowhere like in the animated film. So what did Timon do to distract the hyenas instead? He sings Be Our Guest from Beauty and the Beast. Well, at least he starts to. He gets through Lumiere's intro before Pumbaa gets spooked and takes off running away from the hyenas.
It is with deepest pride and greatest pleasure that we welcome you tonight.
And finally, in at number 1, we have Simba and Nala's journey back to Pride Rock. This didn't happen.
The king has returned.
That didn't happen.
The monkey's his uncle?
No!
If you are as nostalgic as I am about this epic sequence of the king finally journeying home, then you will also miss this. In exchange for all of that, what we got was an original song by Beyonce. Was it worth it? I don't know. I don't really remember, but maybe that in itself is telling. Bam! There you go. Those were just the elements that stuck out to us as being blatantly different, but what did you notice? What other aspects did they change? Was it worth it, or should they have left it as is? Let us know in the comments, and while you're down there, be sure to hit subscribe so you can stay up to date on all of CinemaBlend's awesome content. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.